right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Ghana. It's the program you just tuned into. My name is Audu Moore. It's always a pleasure coming your way. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon. And here on Good Afternoon, Ghana, we tell Ghanaians what's happening at this very minute. Now, what's happening this very minute is that the contestants or the presidential aspirants, because they're not yet candidates yet, the Electoral Commission would have to validate or verify or certify them. So we'll call them the standard bearers of the major political parties here, the NDC and the MPP, are crisscrossing the length and breadth of this country, selling their message and canvassing for vote and telling them or making a case why they should be voted for on the 7th of December. Today, it's exactly 40 days till the 7th December elections. It tells you that we don't have that much time, do we? I'm sure that by now many Ghanaians have made up their minds as to who they want to vote for. There are still some who are undecided. If you check what the polls are saying, it is quite clear that there's still quite a number of persons who are still undecided as to whether to go left or right. But whatever it is, what we have done on Good Afternoon Ghana is that we've invited the major political parties in the last 3 months to come and share their messages to Ghanaians through our platform. And so far, so good. We've had the NDC, we've had the Movement for Change, we've had the PNC, and we've had the CPP. Unfortunately, PNC, well, they can't come here again because the Electoral Commission has disqualified them from contesting in this year's elections. This afternoon, we have a very, very, very important personality who's joined us this afternoon to tell us more about the Bawumia campaign. And I'm talking about the man who, well, he needs no introduction, really, because he's a very important and a very significant man in this country as far as Ghana's politics is concerned. I'm talking about Nana Akomia. Nana Akomia is the Deputy National Campaign, chairperson or chairman of the Bawumia 2024 campaign. He's taking time off his very, very, very busy schedule to join us this afternoon to reiterate and to emphasize why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the man to beat, or why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the man to vote for on the 7th of December. And so we'll kickstart our conversation shortly, but let me first of all apologize for the late start of the show. It was due to circumstances beyond our control. We didn't intend the show to start 7 minutes after. You know, as 2 p.m. on the dot, we're on. But today is one of those days. We're so sorry, and we apologize unreservedly. My name once again is Audu Moore, and when I come back, I will be introducing my guest, and then the conversation will start.
Welcome to Rehoboth Palms, Ayimensa, where your future home is taking shape. Discover a community like no other, designed for families and individuals seeking comfort and connection. Enjoy a host of amenities, including a swimming pool, tennis courts, kids playground, and serene sitting areas, all designed for your enjoyment. Embrace the opportunity to be part of this vibrant community with flexible installment plans available. Your dream home is waiting at Rehoboth Palms, Ayimensa, where every moment is a promise of home and affordable luxury. Visit us today at 145 North Legon, Accra. Call us on +233 244 764 499 or +233 204 950 810. For our UK clients, you can reach us on +44 190 853 3149 or +44 791 737 6631 or visit www.rehobothpropertiesgh.com to learn more. A community like no other. Welcome to Rehoboth Ayimensa.
Get front row seats to an exciting Premier League game. The girls are next door, catching up on a scenic getaway to the Australian outback. Watching together is always better. That's why DSTV Stream has content for the whole family to enjoy. Families that watch together, bond together.
So what about what the papa
This is my secret. Give us P capsules. Emma, I want to go from now on to me to my ding one pen. Give us P capsules. Over do us, Mama. Oh no, enemy lawyer.
Ah, and to lawyer no na show bottom. you bro? They na pon machine ba be tia mo a ese ni die.
Busano.
No. Nige na fi waka wo. E fe ni give us cold capsules. Say yes is yare na wo so ko di wu ni pedwem wani na wo posa amamman entimi ma wunja wo nan yi. Unum give us cold capsules a. Obey free.
Lawyer.
Give us cold capsules.
And I give us pea capsules.
Hey, and they give us free. Obey Chinasoma.
And men what if you do what you do, Cronkwan, Efra. Give us core capsules. A pin for a batter, one more menu for an inquadawin if you do me no come.
Papa Sammy, I beg if you find something small, give us.
Bro Sammy, you see, nobody say boys no one do nothing and just they rely on handouts. Jobs no deal.
I understand your hassle. Hope they come. John Mahama they come do the National Apprenticeship Program. Where he go sort you guys.
Brother Sammy, waiting with that.
John Mahama knows say no be everybody way won't work for office.
Like me.
That one day is true.
Under the National Apprenticeship Program, young men and women where they won't learn craft will be enrolled under the program and attached to a senior craftsman who will train them for free.
I beg you, mechanic day inside. Me like this, I don't want to learn mechanical, but the course no.
Mechanics day inside. Organizing, dressmaking, fabric making, catering, hairdressing, tiling, painting. What they even sweet about this whole thing is say when you plead, the NDC government go make sure say they go give you certificate where you go fit take go look for job anywhere. That's sweet.
Oh, that's be wonderful.
Another wonderful thing be say when you plead, the NDC government go set you up with startup capital and equipment to make sure you can start your own business.
Wow. I dey go shopping my town wait 7th December.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
All right, welcome back. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. I promised you that we're going to have a conversation with the Deputy National Campaign Chairperson or Chairman of the Bamia 2024 campaign. I'm talking about Nana Komia. He's my guest this afternoon on Good Afternoon, Ghana. We want to look at what is the Dr. Mahmoud Bamia offering. You know, so in marketing terms, so what's the offering? What's the unique offering or unique selling point of Dr. Mahmoud Bamia? Why should he be given the nod when the man is the vice president? This is the first time, actually, that we have a situation where a sitting vice president wants to succeed his boss. And the question keeps arising that why do you want to succeed your boss when you should be able to influence a lot of things that you believe you can do now and not wait till tomorrow? Nana Komia, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Moro.
It's a pleasure having you,
here.
It's good to be here. It's interesting. I think the whole of from 2017 till date, you and I haven't done a one-on-one. That's quite strange.
You have been hiding from me.
Well, I don't think so. I think you've just been too busy because everybody wants a bit of Nana Komia.
Is that the case?
Yes. Everybody wants a bit of Nana Komia.
So, and now you have it.
Yes, now I have it.
The whole show.
God's time is the best, isn't it? There was a show that Nana Komia used to feature on back in the day. Well, not necessarily back in the day. Let's just say 7, 8, 9 years ago when Nana Komia would appear on, I think it was Inside Politics on another platform. With Joe Jackson and Ahun Kalinzi. Yeah. It was quite an interesting program. But Nana, it's good to see you. And I don't know how your position as the Deputy National Campaign Chairperson of the Bamia campaign. What is this position? Was it a position that you requested for, or in the wisdom of the party elders, they felt that this was the best for you, given the kind of experience you have? Yeah. And your skill set and so on. I mean, how did you come by this position? I've been wanting to ask you this.
Well, thank you, Mauro, and let me wish our viewers a good Monday afternoon.
Right.
Well, the position speaks for itself.
Okay.
The chairman of the national campaign is my senior brother and good friend,
right.
Dan Botry.
Dan Botry.
And I am the deputy national chairman, together with my senior brother, Fred Owari.
Right.
We are the two deputies.
Right.
But it speaks for itself.
Right.
I mean, chairman means that you are in charge, chairing the meetings, all the meetings regarding the campaign, and ensuring that all the various structures of the campaign work together.
Okay.
So it's a self-explanatory position.
Right.
And I deputize for Dan Butchie, myself and Fred Owari.
Okay.
So that's
so how have you structured the operation? So do you meet, say, once in a week, twice in a week, thrice in a week, or it is as and when necessary?
Well, these days, because of all the tools that
available to you,
digital,
with the power of technology,
digital platforms
right.
offer us.
Okay.
You don't need physical meetings on a regular basis,
right.
compared to the campaigns of, let's say, 2012 and 2016. You can do a lot of meetings digitally.
Right.
But once a while, we meet physically.
Okay.
And a campaign such as this, as you would imagine, the presidential campaign of the big parties, NPP, NDC, is very complex. There are all kinds of structures, and all of them are supposed to be working together. And so coordinating all of that is a lot of work that requires a lot of consultations, a lot of strategy sessions, and so on. But with the help of digital tools, we are doing our best
to do that.
Yeah. And you would agree that our campaign is the campaign in town.
Right.
The rest are half asleep.
I see. Dan Butchie, there were all kinds of talk about the fact that he's not been happy with the way things are being done. He's been left. He's not been listened to. He would wish that the campaign is fashioned out in a certain way, but there's all kinds of disagreements within the campaign team. I'm sure you heard some of those rumors in town. And so when Dan Butchie, for instance, gave that opening remark at the Bawumia Meet the Press in Holiday Inn, people were like, "Oh, I see, the man's still there around." I mean, that's why I asked about. So how are you going about your work?
No, I mean, yes, there were some rumors,
okay.
But they were exaggerated. There were some initial difficulties, but you see. If you take the Bawumia campaign, there was the primaries campaign to be elected as the flag bearer. And in that campaign, which went on for about a year, Dr. Bawumia had a team. Even before the primaries, he had a team in his office who were managing his affairs. And you would expect that team, who he had been used to and who were used to him, were going to play key roles in the primaries.
Right.
And then in the primaries, there were other people like myself who came in to work for his election.
Right.
And so you would come in and meet a structure that was already there from his office. And then new people like myself would come in. And so you need to work with that structure. So it's a new endeavor. And then after the primaries, those of us who have been together working with him in the primaries, new people come on board for the national campaign itself. People from the party executives and people from outside, like Dan Butchie and so on. So initially, when you already have a team on the ground and there are new additions, there has to be a gelling, which is natural. You have people already working and there are new people coming. There has to be a gelling. So initially you would have these difficulties. But like you said, it's been ironed out and all of us are working smoothly.
Okay.
But those are initial hiccups that you would expect.
Right.
Because when we came in to work with him during the primaries, he already had a sitting team that had been working with him for the last 7 years. And so that adjustment created issues.
Yes.
And then we adjusted to ourselves
and
worked together for the primaries. Then after the primaries, he now becomes the party's candidate. And so new people have to come in because this is now a national campaign
of
the party. Party as general secretary, the organizer, people from outside. You go through a period to gel, as a team. So that is to be expected. But these are mature people, experienced people. We've gone over that, and we're working smoothly.
So, so far, so good.
I am sure the NDC too had the same problem.
Well,
it's just that maybe the media wasn't interested.
Right.
Yeah, but it happens when you have big campaigns like this and there's an existing structure and people are coming in and so on and so on. You will have it all the time.
It creates its own sort of challenges. But
Your
like
production team that you have.
Yes.
If they bring in new people to work with a production team, there has to be a period for them to gel.
I agree with you.
And in that period, you have all this kind of...
It's actually
there's nothing to it.
In management, we call it group dynamics.
They call it what?
Group dynamics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know these things
it's
more than
perfectly
I do.
understandable. So, how are the grounds? I mean, since you have joined, you became the deputy national campaign chairman. Would you say you have so far been satisfied with the way the campaign is being run, or you think there's still a lot of work to be done? Where do you think are the areas that need to be smoothing and so on and so forth? And how's Doc himself doing, Dr. Bami himself? How's he doing?
You can never be satisfied.
Okay.
With a campaign such as this,
right?
Until the victory is secured.
Okay.
So we are always thriving to do better with our communications on a daily basis, to do better on our advertising, to do better with the various structures of the campaign, our social media outreach. We're always striving to do better. You can never be satisfied because it is a fluid situation. It's not a static situation. So you need to be reacting literally on a daily basis. So we are happy with the way things are, but we are striving to be better.
What is before I get to what is your overarching campaign, or what is your overarching message in this elections, which is to say, if you don't want to listen to us at all, this one we want you to pay attention to. We'll come there. But just quickly, is the running mate office also being run? Is it under your supervision as well as the campaign office, of which you are the national deputy national?
Well, like I said, as the position is it describes itself, the national campaign.
Right.
So every aspect of the campaign, even the flag bearers campaign, is coordinated under the. And you see, at the national level, everybody is represented.
Right.
The vice president has representatives, the flag bearer. So, what the most important thing is for people to work together. And for the activities to be coordinated.
How do you gauge feedback? If, for instance, how are you able to tell, for instance, if Dr. Mahmoud Bami is delivering the right message, his body language, how he delivers it? Same with Napo, same with Samira, same with Napo's wife, and so on and so forth. What's the mechanism for gauging feedback?
Fortunately, these are public campaigns. Okay?
Right.
As I speak to you, it's live, I imagine.
That's true.
And so there may be a lot of people listening to watching us.
Yeah.
So you get feedback for free and almost instantly.
WhatsApp
calls. And so the flag bearers campaign is done in the open.
Right.
It's not hidden. So you get free feedback.
Okay.
And so what you have to do is tap into that feedback and see the ones that you can work with.
Have you been impressed with Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh's campaign style? I mean, his rhetorics. He seems to be focusing a lot more on attacking the former president, and basically there's a lot of vitriol in his campaign style. I don't know why I've asked people ask me why is Napo adopting that style of campaign. I know that you've gotten that kind of feedback as well. And is it a strategy, or that's just his style, his personal style of campaigning?
Well, the campaign cannot be a homogeneous campaign.
Okay.
Yes. All of us cannot be campaigning in the same way.
Right.
The way I would communicate would not be the way everybody would communicate.
Absolutely.
All of us have different audiences that we appeal to.
True.
The way I communicate may not be attractive to some strata of the voters.
Right.
but I may appeal to some other strata of the voters.
Okay.
Somebody else may communicate in a way that could also appeal to some other strata.
Okay.
So you cannot have one homogeneous, everybody just talking the same way. People are going to talk differently according to their strengths. So initially, there were some
hiccups,
difficulties, but they've been quickly resolved. And then he's campaigning. And you see, it's the little controversies that are highlighted by the media. But I can assure you, the vice presidential candidate is working so hard. There were even rumors that he had fallen ill, and it was all because of the strain.
They say he's looking sick.
It's because of the strain. Having come in there at that time and trying to make his mark, his schedule is punishing. And he's doing all he can to fulfill that schedule that has been given to him. So he's working very, 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 very hard. Once in a while, when there's a controversial statement, that becomes highlighted. But I can assure you, he's also having a major impact as far as our monitoring goes. There are people in the NDC who also adopt that style of campaign. And so it's good that we also have people who also have that style of campaign.
That's
I said, the electorate is also not homogeneous. There are young people between 18 and 20, 25 who are looking for something different from people who are in their 30s, people in their 40s, people in their 50s, women. So you can have one.
But the most important
style.
thing is that there's an overall campaign strategy and objective that everything you're doing must fall in line with.
Yes. The thing is that you shouldn't say things that
goes outside of
or will be detrimental to the campaign. Otherwise,
I see. So if I'm watching any of the candidates, or if I'm watching any of your campaign officers say certain things that I may not like, it does not necessarily mean that there's somebody out there who doesn't like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're saying that it's like a market. Yeah. And it's not a homogeneous market, it's heterogeneous. So there's different kinds of people consuming different kinds of messages. So whereas I may be uncomfortable with it, maybe per the party strategy, somebody else likes it, so allow.
When you go to a buffet, I would normally go for the greens.
Right, that's true.
Somebody will go in for the heavy stuff.
Absolutely.
The meat. Yes. And the palm soup. Somebody else will go in for greens and maybe a little fish and so on. And the important thing is that you don't say or do anything that will be detrimental. But otherwise,
all right.
The electorate is not homogeneous.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So various strata of the electorate react to different messages, and that's what we have.
Let's see.
As I sit here,
okay,
I do not think that I appeal to 100% of the voters.
Right. What is important is that you appeal to majority of the voters.
What is important, I appeal to some of the voters.
At least the people you want to speak to must listen to you and they must take your message.
The people that are,
not necessarily about numbers. It's about the constituency of
that
people
you want to speak to.
I see.
Yes, and the constituency that may not be totally happy with my style, may be happy with somebody else's style.
Like in marketing, you say you segment and you target.
You know these things more than I do.
So that's how scientific our campaign has become. But anyway, so Nana, just a quick one. So let's now talk about what is Bawumia's message.
Yeah. Okay.
And why must we trust him? I think that so the two goes is two in one.
Let me deal with the trust first.
Right.
I mean, you cannot trust John Mahama. The alternative cannot be trusted.
No, why must we trust Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Yes, not John Mahama.
No, I'm building up to it.
Okay.
There are two people, John Mahama and Bawumia.
No, there's Alan Chairman thing. There's the CPP woman. There's quite a number of other.
Okay. That kind of communication doesn't appeal to me.
Okay.
I don't believe there are other people.
Okay.
Yes.
As far as you're concerned, this election.
They are there, and I'm sure they will also get some votes. But you and I know, or as far as I'm concerned, it's two key parties and two key people.
Right.
So there is Bawumia, there's John Mahama.
Okay.
When I'm talking about trust,
right,
I say John Mahama cannot be trusted.
Okay.
Simply because he has a record.
Right.
From 4.5 years as president.
4 and 6 months, not and a half. Half will mean 2 years, but he has 6 months.
I said 4.5 years.
No. 4 and 6 months. So in July.
Half year is
to
6
December.
months.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Yes.
4.5 years.
Yes. So
Right.
so he's had 4.5 years as president.
Right.
And I'm saying when you look at that record, he cannot be trusted. Bawumia hasn't had a shot at the presidency. So really, there is no standard to judge him by as you have for John Mahama. Because it's been, and if we have time, I can show you the areas of John Mahama's tenure that show that he cannot be trusted.
I think it's been debated severally. I mean, because I'm more interested in going forward, what should we expect, rather than we're going to go back again.
But you mentioned the
data
issue,
comparison and here, and it's going to take all the time.
You mentioned the issue of trust.
Okay.
So
Right.
I believe it's
If you
important.
could do this briefly, so that we go to the main message.
Let me because I think it's interesting.
Okay.
Because trust
Right.
is key.
It's connected to track record.
In choosing a leader.
Okay.
A leader, the first thing that a leader must have is integrity.
Absolutely.
So, and that is trust.
Okay.
It's very crucial.
Right.
Look, when you look at, you trace President Mahama's record over the time, right from when he was running mate, you know, he poo-pooed the idea of having special funds for the development of the North, the geographical North of the country. He poo-pooed it. He said that if Akufo-Addo had proposed it, said that because of the nature of poverty, you needed some special funding. John Mahama poo-pooed it in 2007 and thereabout, 2008, and said that it's not necessary and that if the government had money, they should use it to go and pay their toll debts. I'm sure you remember. And yet when he came into office, the thing that he had poo-pooed and that it wasn't worth it, told Ghanaians wasn't worth it, he took it up. The idea of special funding for development for the northern sector. He took it up, called it SADA, Savannah something Asset Development.
Savannah Accelerated Development Agency.
Yes.
And then it became an authority at some point.
And then you will know that that SADA thing today is a byword for corruption. You know. But he poo-pooed it. And then in office, he took it. Look, he told us that touting development projects was an exercise in mediocrity. You remember? And yet, when he was president and he was campaigning for re-election, all he could do was just cite development projects.
What he said was, what he said, Nana Komia, was a situation where you build one road, somebody builds 1.5 roads, and then you say, well, I've done better. It's that kind of comparison. It's a sign of mediocrity. It's not just development. So for him, it's not about the comparison. It's about what you ought to have done.
But when he was president, he was comparing development projects.
True.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. The thing that exercise that he said was mediocrity.
Okay.
That was what he was doing.
Okay.
Look, even recently, I don't want to go through the whole shamba, but we can spend the next 1 hour.
Exactly.
And I'll give you instances, about 50 of them, that shows that you cannot trust John Mahama.
Okay.
But even recently, look, he said that, the government has a program to give secondary school children laptops, in which the syllabus is embedded.
Yeah.
John Mahama, just recently, he said that it's bribery that the government was engaged in buying the votes of secondary school students. But when he was president, he was also distributing laptops.
Okay.
You're alive?
Right.
He complained that somebody had gone and put pictures on this construction equipment that has gone to district assembly. Says somebody had put, and then he was telling people that if you see somebody's picture, go and remove it because this
doesn't belong to the assembly.
Yeah, it doesn't belong to Ghana. But when he did those laptops, his pictures were on the laptops. You see,
but did he put it there?
Sorry?
Did he put it there?
Those pictures could not have been put there without his.
That's an assumption, Anakomia.
But the pictures that were
they were produced by RLG, Agambre's RLG.
Look, he is telling us today that the economy that he left was a rosy economy.
Okay.
So then, why was he rejected by the largest margin of a president seeking re-election? So there's so much. He told the BBC that he never got himself engaged in procurement.
Yeah.
So he could never, be engaged in corruption. You remember that interview?
Right.
But there's record of letters from his office instructing ministries to give contracts to. In the West Blue case, if you remember, there's a letter and let me quote, that letter was written May 12, 2015. And let me quote, say, pursuant to His Excellency the President's decision, you are directed to engage West Blue on a single source basis.
Okay.
This is the office of the president instructing how procurement should. I mean, there's so many of them that if you had time, maybe we should do another one on trust. And I can. So let me look at the things that he said on Galamsey in 2020.
Okay.
Yes. So you cannot trust John Mahama based on the track record that he showed as president.
Okay.
Here's a leader who is able to tell Ghanaians that you cannot criticize him unless you've been president before.
Yeah.
And then he went on to name those that he would take criticism from. That Jerry Rawlings and John Kufuor.
Yeah.
You know, that this is a leader. He was looking for 8 years. And yet he's able to tell Ghanaians that you cannot criticize him. He's not going to take criticism because you've never been president. This is a leader who's looking for another term. And he can treat Ghanaians this way. So you can imagine if you give him another term and he only has 4 years. You know, he said, I'm not going to take your criticism. You've never been president. The only people who can criticize me and I can't take it is these two people because they've been president.
It was a specific reference to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yes, he's Ghanaian, but it was to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Because he said, you've never been president before.
Are you not frightened? Are you not frightened that if he can treat Dr. Bawumia that way, then you Moro? You see, and even today, he is telling Dr. Bawumia that he's below his level. I don't know what level.
I'm going to come to. We're going to come.
I don't know what level.
I'm going to come back.
Even as we speak today,
I'm going to come back.
He's telling Bawumia. Now, if he can tell Bawumia that Bawumia is below his level, then you, Moro, you are lost in the.
We'll take a short break. Nana Komia is my guest on Good Afternoon Ghana. We'll be right. We'll be back right. All right, welcome back. We're back from the break. This is Good Afternoon Ghana on Metro Television. I'm hosting Nana Akomia, who is the Deputy National Campaign Chairman of the Bawumia 2024 campaign. So I asked him about what really is the key message that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is selling to Ghanaians, and why must we trust that he means what he says and he says what he means. And he said, well, before he talks about whether Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia can be trustworthy or not, he rather wants to ask whether John Mahama can be trusted. And he gave reasons why, in his view, the former president can be trusted. And so now we're going to come back to the main question: why must we trust Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? So, Nana.
Now, Moro, I mean, you are a Ghanaian,
absolutely,
okay, like all of us. Let me ask you, since we're having an interactive section, what do you think is the key issue that we need? Economy. Okay. Now, when you look at the NDC, and when I came here, I've seen that you've given me a copy, of the NDC
manifesto,
and they say that resetting the economy for prosperity.
Right.
In the first 120 days, they will hold a dialogue. They are now going to hold a dialogue.
Right.
And they hope that out of the dialogue, they can have a 4-year fiscal program.
Right.
So they are now going to hold a meeting. They said they will rationalize taxes. They don't tell us how. They said they will abolish e-levy, COVID levy, 10%. They copied it from us. Because Bawumia had said way back at UPSA that he's also going to remove these taxes. But he showed you why he will remove those taxes. These people don't tell us why. They just put it there as a political slogan and left it. They don't show us why they can abolish e-levy and COVID levy and so on, and betting
tax.
They said they will review import duties on vehicles. They don't show us how, what percentage. They said they will review. A review can result in the same or even upwards. They said they will rationalize port fees and charges. They don't show us how. How are you going to rationalize it? They said they will implement emergency measures to stabilize the city and the macro economy. They don't tell us what measures. Huh? They said they will use, they will review the gold purchase program of the Bank of Ghana. How are you going to review it? What is the problem with it? How are you going to improve it? What does it mean? They said they would increase Ghanaian participation in the banking and finance. They said they will free statutory funds for their mandated objects, get fund and so on and blah, blah. These are vague. Nothing of substance.
Right.
Like you rightly said, the biggest thing is the economy. We know the problems of the economy, and it's reflected in the value of the city. They don't tell us how they will hold. They said they would implement emergency measures. What does it mean? What does it mean? Let me tell you what Bawumia says he will do. The key thing that affects the city is the fiscal imbalance, that we spend more than we earn. So, Moro, I mean, you know this. If your salary here is 20,000 cedis a month, and you consistently spend 30, 35,000 cedis a month.
You're always running a deficit.
Always running to deficit. It affects the value of your city
Right.
and so on. You have to borrow. It says that I am going to change the law that talks about the fiscal spending. That there's a leverage now to spend 5% over the previous tax revenue. Is going to make it the peg to, sorry, they do it, the previous tax projection.
Right.
Is going to make it to be based on actual revenue, so that is realistic. He's also going to roll back the spending by taking about 3% of GDP, that's about 30 billion cedis. Roll it back and let those projects be financed by the private sector. And he gave the example of major infrastructure projects. You see, Legon, I don't know if you're an alumni of Legon University.
Yes, Legon, I went there.
But look at the huge expansion in numbers. When I was at Legon, the population was about 7,000. Now it's over 40,000 because they put in place measures that allowed private sector to come and put in infrastructure. So private infrastructure in Legon, as far as accommodation is concerned, is larger than the public infrastructure. That is a cue. Bawumia is going to do the same for major infrastructure, roads. And roads are a major weight on the public purse that we spend on. It's going to take all of that. The roads that are commercially viable, is going to farm all of it, going to put in place policies that can allow the private sector to come in and invest in those roads. So if you take the major highways, for example, Accra, Aflao, where there's heavy traffic, and then let's say Accra, Takoradi, Accra, Kumasi, obviously, and so on, where there's heavy traffic. Because of the heavy traffic, if you put in the right measures, you can get private sector investment to come and put in money and toll the right toll, which has been agreed, to recoup their money. But you and I will get our 6 lanes, and the investor to have a chance of getting their money back. And if you put in those arrangements, you're going to get private sector coming in to put in those huge infrastructures without them being a burden on the public. So all this huge spending that we've been trying to do since Kwame Nkrumah to dualize or Accra, Kumasi, we can't. Accra, Kumasi, the 2 biggest cities, the focus of economic activity in this country. Look at the road connecting them. It's a disgrace. And it's been like this since Kwame Nkrumah. There's been improvement, but really, it's still, I mean, when you go to the developed countries and you go to all of this in America, interstate and so on, they've all been privately funded. That's why every 50 kilometers there's a toll.
Right.
You know, and it's digital tolling, so you don't have a queue. Bawumia is going to do the same thing. All the commercially viable public infrastructure, let the private sector do much of it so that that burden. And we're going to save, by estimates, about 30 billion a year. And this is going to help us to stay within the fiscal balance. He also says the other part of the fiscal balance is raising more money. Look at the tax policies that Bawumia has. It says that the Ghana card, now about 17 million Ghanaians have access to a Ghana card. So they can't be identified. The GPS now gives them an address. The mobile interoperability gives them a bank account. Out of these 17 million card holders, like you and me, only about 4 million pay direct taxes because they take it from our salaries at source and so on. The rest are outside because they are largely informal. So the 17, if you take the 4 or 5 million who pay direct taxes, you are still left about 12 million. If you take 2 million from it to be students, 18 to 25 who are not earning an income, you still have about 8 to 9 million people in the informal sector who don't pay direct taxes. It's going to bring in, because now they can be identified, it's going to bring in a system that can allow them to pay some flat rate on their phone and get a receipt on their phone, say 50 cedis a month for all kinds of plumbers, masons, and so on. So they too, they can pay something small. Now, that's kind of bringing 8 to 9 million people paying something flat in a simple, they don't need to go and fill quadruplicate forms at GRA and so on. It's going to expand the revenue base. That is why he'll be able to remove e-levy and COVID levy. He had shown you how. Unlike these people who have just stated it as a slogan in their manifesto.
But the difference is these are just highlights. It won't say much. If you have the entire
the highlights talk. You have the entire book.
Yes, I have the entire book. Then we can get into specifics.
It doesn't say anything.
Have you read it?
I have seen it.
Have you read it?
I have a copy.
Okay.
It doesn't say anything.
Now come here.
If you like, let your producers bring it. Now, he says that the demand for dollar is because we are a heavily import-dependent economy. If you take this your studio, maybe 90% of the things, including this your psychedelic table, they are imported. The cameras, the lighting, the sound, they are all imported. So we are a heavily import-dependent economy. He is going to go on aggressive local industrialization so that many of the things that we import with dollars, we will manufacture them here. It's going to be very focused, not spread. Take maybe the first 5 biggest imports.
Right.
The rice and the chicken.
Right.
And paint and those things. And make a determined national effort to produce those things here, to reduce the demand for dollars. Right. Many countries like Singapore and Korea and so on, small countries, but they are export dependent. So they are always awash with dollars. We can do the same here in Ghana with the right leadership and the right attitude.
Right.
And then most importantly, he's going to anchor the cedi on gold. Many of these countries with stable currencies in Europe and America and so on. I mean, the United Kingdom has over 4,000 tons of gold in the votes of the Bank of England that help them to support the pound sterling.
Right.
Germany also has about 4,000 tons of gold sitting in the votes of their central bank that helps them to support their currency. America has nearly 10,000 tons of gold sitting at what they call the Fort Knox. That help them to support. Because you see, gold is money. It's an international money. We have gold, but we haven't had a deliberate program that is going to take our gold and use it as a store of value to support our city. Look, recently, one of these big multinationals, they needed to change over 3 billion cedis into dollars to repatriate to their shareholders and to pay abroad and to pay for supplies and so on. And there are 3 billion. And when they met with officials, they were giving gold to the value of that amount of money. And they took the gold, they went and sold the gold for dollars. And that's the end of it. So can you imagine if this thinking wasn't here, and so they had gone to the open market to use the $3 billion to buy dollars, what would have happened to the value of the cedi? And we have about 43,000 square kilometers of gold deposits, according to the Geological Authority. It is now how to mine it and refine it to international standard so we can use it as a store of value for our currency. So what it means is that, and look, just 2-3 years ago, all the gold we had was about 8 tons. 8. Today, as a result of the gold purchase program, we have about 25, 26. But can you imagine if we had 3,000, 4,000 tons of gold? So anytime the cedi is in trouble, you just release the gold. Because the gold is as good as the dollar, you know. And Bawumia is going to mainstream this gold purchase program as part of managing the currency. It's never been done in this country. So the man is giving you concrete steps that are going to be taken to achieve our objectives and to deal with the most pressing issues today. Compared to these people who just engage in slogans.
We have to do a part 2 of this because you've just started on the economy. We have to go to education. We have to go to some other sectors. Because you're right. I mean, the economy is for me, is the number one issue. That
the NDC, their major offer to Ghanaians, they say 24-hour economy. I have still not understood it. Maybe you understand it because you deal with them on a daily basis. But let me ask you, how is the 24-hour economy going to deal with the cost of electricity? How is the 24-hour economy going to deal with the cost of transport? How is the 24-hour economy going to deal with the value of the cedi?
Right.
How is it going to deal with the cost of housing?
What we're going to do is...
Bawumia has given you how he is going to hold the value of the cedi, some of which we've talked about. He's told you that for electricity, I am going to have installed 2,000 megawatts of solar power. And solar is very cheap compared to the thermals. And that will hold down the cost of electricity. It will involve installing 5 million panels. We're going to establish a factory in this country to produce the panels. Those are major jobs right now.
When you come next week, one of the things that we're going to, and hopefully...
is the time up?
Yeah, time is up. The time is up. Time is up. And
but you need to answer the question. Yeah. How is the 24-hour economy going to deal with the cost of electricity? Going to deal with the cost of education? That's fine. Going to deal with the cost of housing?
Next week.
Going to deal with the cost of transport? Going to hold the city?
Okay. Two things.
You have to ask them when they come.
2 things will happen next week. Next week, I'll have obviously Free Ankara join you for the show, and we'll start on time.
He's my friend.
And then the second one is to say that in all of this, are you mindful of what people say, which is what Bawumia himself has said in the past? Yes, he's not the president, but he's the vice president.
Yeah.
And also, the second thing, I'm doing this just quickly. And also the second thing is he's the vice president. Where were all these ideas in the last 7 to 8 years or so? So, Nana, I want to thank you. So, 2 quick questions for you next week when you come. Thank you so very much, Nana Komia, for joining us. It's been wonderful talking to him. And up next is the Entertainment Review with Jesse and his crew. My name is Aldo Moro. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Jason, more from Tuna Mammy. Mammy from the Dukia, one of Mammy, I try in the autumn. Papa sometimes listen to this compose so nippy. Macatama to me, so nippy. Teach them of Bobia Sana. If you grab pad